Hello, everybody. Welcome to IronSheep Cast number 168. Another year gone. What have you done? By the way, I really am not a fan of. Damn it! Who is the lead singer of the Beatles? What have you done? By the way, I really am not a fan of. All right, someone's playing this in the background.
Oh, hold on.
I hope it's not me. John Lennon. That's who it is. John Lennon. I'm not a big fan of John Lennon, but that's a story for a different time. How's everybody doing tonight?
Very well. I'm on vacation, so
Happy to see 2021 coming around the corner.
Hopefully it'll be a better year, but you know what? All these people who are so hopeful for 2021, I sound like a downer, but I'm not that hopeful.
Yeah, it's just been crazy with everything going on, but I kind of agree with you. Like, that hope is definitely dwindling as time goes on and more craziness happens.
Not to get into political stuff because, well, Ron, I don't personally know you. Like, all the people who are happy that Trump's going to be gone in 2021, do you really think Biden's going to be any better?
I think the whole system's corrupt.
Well, okay, at face value, I'll definitely agree with you on that one. Well, I think we're fucked no matter what. But let's get into the show notes. Unless anybody else. Wait, actually, I haven't asked. Well, Barry and Darren how they're doing. How are you all doing?
I'm doing okay because I'm on vacation. I'm having a nice sour beer.
Oh, I like some of them. Is it like a lambic or what do you got?
Well, it's Goose Island Madame Rose Wild Ale Vintage 2014. So
Okay.
I've had it cellared for a while.
And what you up to, Darren?
Oh, same shit, different day. Just taking it easy. It's the end of the year, so like most businesses, my employer is trying not to rock the boat too much, let things kind of go, and then probably in a few weeks we'll start ramping up. But for now, just living the dream.
I should also ask Ron and Trez what they're up to. What you guys up to?
I don't know. We can hear Trez.
Well, we can hear you, Ron. So you go ahead and start. Trez can work out his fucking audio issues.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm just staying busy trying to wrap things up for the end of the year. Staying active with hackathons and different things in the security industry.
How you doing, Trez? Is your audio actually working now? Oh shit! Because I do this for you. This is basically the Trez show. If Trez's audio is not working, we're gonna have a bad time because if I have to go for these show notes that he created mostly, Frank does most of the work on the show. I gotta admit, we don't hear him.
Did you check your TCP/IP settings?
Oh shit!
Oh, he dropped. Yeah, he was talking, but he's also muted too. I don't know if that was intentional.
Let's see if he rejoins, and I'll add him back quickly.
Now, can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear,
Yeah.
hear you.
All right, excellent. So
And Frank has arrived! Yay! I'm drunk off my ass, by the way.
well, that's the reason you're excited to see me. So yeah, I'm here.
No, I'm excited because I think I love you, man. I would snuggle you if you were nearby, but you're not. You're in New York or something.
Yeah, I'm in one of those faraway places where snuggles are not possible.
Now, I'm in southern Indiana where the men are men and the sheep are scared.
Well, sheep should be scared. Today, we had a whole bunch of crap show notes for everybody. And today is, of course, the IronSheep podcast because I came across that image and it amused me, so I decided to make it our show notes.
To see the image he's talking about, got to go to the show notes. I'm pretty sure that should be in the description for this video.
Or if you can share my screen, they can share it too. All right.
All right, I'm about to do that. Hold on a second. Yeah, there we go.
All right. So yeah, IronSheep Podcast. Okay. So we're gonna start off talking about some supply chain attacks. We got a whole bunch of them. So as we all know, the SolarWinds attack was a supply chain attack, where that they were able to compromise the SolarWinds application, and then SolarWinds Orion, and then a whole bunch of companies that relied on that got infected. That's one example of a supply chain attack. There's different ways that it's done, but the gist of it is it's hitting somebody upstream, and then the software comes downstream, and the companies get hit with it. So Vietnam was targeted recently in a very complex supply chain attack, where hackers inserted malware inside an app that's offered as a download by the actual Vietnamese government certificate authority. So this app was somehow modified by some mysterious hackers, and a whole bunch of private companies and government agencies ended up inserting malware into their systems because they had toolkit installed. So ESET figured this out with their they had a little thing they called Operation Sunsight, and it was targeting government certificate agency authority in Vietnam, and private citizens as well as companies in Vietnam all got infected, as well as government agencies, and it's a big shit show where hackers got access to a lot of stuff by infecting an app that was used widely. It's pretty much the same methodology. All right, let's go back here. That was used in that latest attack by SolarWinds. It's like the same kind of thing, just different software. And Microsoft has now also been kind of postulating as to why the attackers went after the cloud the data in SolarWinds, what they were looking for, and they're starting to think that they were going after the victims' cloud data, not just their local networks. So that's kind of like a new idea that's floating. Is essentially they were going after the data that's stored in the cloud rather than their local network stuff. They would get an initial foothold, but that wasn't really what they were interested in. So they got pretty diagrams to show that's why they think that is how it is. Yeah, a typical article is going to go through the attacker CTPs and pivoting to cloud resources. Fun stuff. Got to do out of that. Like laptop navigation is much harder than doing it on a desktop with multiple screens. All right. And last but not least, I put this in the same area because this is just a missed opportunity here. PBX is software that's used freaking everywhere when people have IP telephone systems. It's part of Asterisk, and it's in use everywhere. And the lead developer on the free PBX project is called Sangoma, and they were hit by ransomware. But if these guys had access to those computers that essentially had the source control for a free and open source project that's used freaking everywhere, why the hell would they put ransomware on those computers? They could have infected the project itself, kind of like the SolarWinds hackers did, and then gotten their crap everywhere. That's just like a missed opportunity in my book as far as stupid hacker things that you didn't know they had.
Now, pardon my ignorance, but asterisks. I mean, has it become so ubiquitous that no one even talks about it anymore? Because it was a big thing. People were talking about at cons like 10 years ago. And now I don't hear about it, but it seems like everybody uses it.
Yeah, it's still widely in use. There's also hardware that's built specifically to run it, that's like ARM-based stuff, and even MIPS-based stuff that just runs free PBX and a couple other programs to support IP telephone systems. So the software is in use like still constantly and everywhere. And free PBX is like the main component of Asterisk. So it's a lot. So they're publishing 26 gigs of data that they stole from them during the cyber attack. And they leaked files, including the company's accounting and their financials and their acquisitions, employee benefits, and stuff, right? What's messed up about it is they had the access to these computers. They should have just used it to spread their crapware. You know, they could have made a lot more money if they could manage to infect every customer of everybody using 3PDX all of a sudden pulls down like the latest version, right? And now they're all infected with some malware. It would be a complete shit show. Anyway, I think it's a wasted opportunity from those malware guys.
Yeah, as Affinity Login says, thank God they missed the opportunity.
I mean, it's kind of hard to do that unless you're actually a malicious actor on the team, because if they're doing any kind of source control, someone's going to put commits in there that has code. It's going to get looked at. Someone's going to look at it and going, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's going to raise an investigation. That's kind of a really hard thing to do if they're doing any kind of source control.
Right, but even if they are doing source control, there are more covert ways of doing it. Like you push an update that pulls from another project or something like that, and then you control that project. Or even like say if somebody were a real asshole and they wanted to take out a big open source project. Let's take Pentest framework, right? Everybody commits different shit to that. All it would take would be one bad actor to change what's hosted at like one of those GitHub pages, and then a whole bunch of people would pull down some malicious software. Now, it probably wouldn't execute on their systems unless they told it to. Still, that's just an example, right? So, with a project like FreePBX, all it would take, I think, would be a bad commit that maybe didn't get caught right away because it's the holidays, and before you know it, you'd have a lot of infected people. Even if you were just targeting one architecture, like people who are running it on a Windows box, right? You still phone a lot of people that way.
It goes a little bit further than that, like you mentioned, even upstream. So there was a cryptocurrency wallet software that was pulling in NPM packages. And I think it was a crypto function, and that's the part that was compromised. So you wouldn't catch that in your GitHub code review or commit or anything, because it's just basically pulling in the NPM package and calling the function. So the supply chain attacks, I think, are interesting because in 2014, there was that picture of the UPS and the Cisco routers being flashed by the three-letter agencies. So now you're seeing that hackers and amateurs are being able to infect some of these chains and inject what they need to. So that's interesting. But there's another two pieces of supply chain attacks that I don't know that people are talking about. And the first one was the OMG cable, the Oh My God cable, the cable that looks like a charging cable that has all the payloads and backdoors. There was a supplier that messed up an order and swapped those out. So there was legit customers getting mobile devices that now had these compromised cables out in the wild. And that was a simple mistake, but it's interesting that supply chain was attacked inadvertently. And then I think the other one I've seen that's really hard to combat against is the literal supply chain attack of manufacturers doing things like getting binaries and firmware and writing them to secure hardware devices. How do you stop them from taking those images and those firmwares and making fraudulent or knockoff devices?
Oh, the OMG cables. That MG, what's the name of the dude who developed that shit? MG something. Crap, I don't remember his name. He unfollowed me on Twitter because I think we follow people. He follows also people who dislike me a lot. Damn it, I don't remember that gentleman's name.
The OMG cable was
I think it's something like MG something whenever, but
yeah, they're on Hack5. Let's see. OMG cable. Let me check.
Yeah, that cable was shipped out to like customers where the supplier had a box of USB cables, didn't realize it was the compromised ones, and then added those into just like a regular order.
Which is insane because those cables cost a lot more money than the regular ones. So,
yeah, they do. I would have loved to have been one of those customers.
Exactly. Well, I'll take it. Anyway.
Ron's on here for crypto stuff, so if we want to, we can skip around in the show notes and maybe bring up the crypto stuff first. Yeah, so if Ron wants to leave, he can leave later on, but we'll bring up the crypto stuff so he can talk on it. But hey, Ron, you're perfectly welcome to stay on as long as you want.
I appreciate that.
We are a very loving group.
If we're talking about crypto and security, you have my ear.
All right. So when you were talking about the NPM packages, we actually talked about that a few weeks ago in the show notes. So that was essentially the NJRAT was using JavaScript and Node.js packages in it. And I completely fucked that up by misreading the title. Anyway, it essentially these packages are included in the repository. They were bad. Like what they'll do is they'll take a valid package and they'll repackage it and they'll change the spelling of it and make it more like a more common misspelling, or like add a hyphen or take a hyphen out, and they get included and it's bad. So Sonotype actually found like 100 different packages of crap that are like that. So anyway, we covered that already a few weeks ago, so we're not going to cover it again. Let's skip general InfoSec stuff and go into crypto stuff, because we got the crypto people here, and it would be a waste not to discuss all the crypto shit.
Yeah, Nathan has the link. Why isn't Nathan on?
I don't know. Maybe
We still have we have room for like 2 more people in here. So if Nathan wants to join in, I know he's in the chat.
I think he had said that he has something he has to take care of first,
Okay.
and he might be a little late, or he said he wanted to be in towards the beginning of the cast though. So
Yeah, for the 200th episode, I'm probably gonna have to buy a subscription so we can get everybody in.
So you,
If I want to get Chuck in.
you can have a max
somebody
of
donated
6.
to your Patreon a while back on the cast. Maybe you use that money if it exists.
Someone popped in. Wait, I heard a pop. Wait.
I did hear a pop.
No, I don't see it. No.
All right. So just give me a second. Cryptocurrency related news starts at number 19 in the show notes this week. We're going to start off with a Russian crypto exchange called Livecoin that has been hacked after it lost control of its servers.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
what do you know about it so far?
This is interesting to me because this hack, they only lost a portion of the infrastructure, to my understanding. It was a lot of the back end and the wallets and the servers. They didn't lose the front end, which is what their explanation was for the way they were able to post this update. Now, anytime I see this stuff, especially with recent regulations and rug pulls and things across the entire crypto and DeFi industry, you always have to question, is it an insider attack or is it a false flag? But when you see a lot of users lose funds like this, that's really where my heart goes out to, is that the users were the ones that were really screwed in the end. And it's very interesting to see this because this is the first hack, to my knowledge, where they actually artificially inflated the trading price to try, I don't know, to profit off of that angle or to just kind of screw the company, or if it was an algorithm kind of gone awry. But that's really interesting that that's the first one I've seen where not only did they hack in and clear out the funds, they manipulated the price as well.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that tactic used before either. It's definitely pretty interesting. Yeah, the article has some decent data in there about this.
Okay, Nathan popped up. He was popping up down below the screen, but I didn't see him. But Nathan is here.
Okay, just give me 1 sec.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So the Livecoin admins managed to gain access to their front end stuff. The trade rate ballooned from, it was at 23,000 for Bitcoin, and then it went to 450,000. Ethereum grew from 600 to 15,000, and Ripple increased from 27.27 to about $17. So that's a lot. Yeah, I don't quite get why they would inflate it. That doesn't make much sense to me, but
I still put my money in the S&P 500 and just let it sit.
all right.
Well,
This scam.
that's a typical back when the organized crime mafia was doing securities. They do pump and dump schemes. That's just a cryptocurrency version of it.
Yeah, I imagine it was to profit off of the trading and to take arbitrage on that. But with exchanges, it's a lot of them, it's just a matter of time until they get hacked either from an external attacker or an internal attacker. And I've seen a lot of that in my time in this industry. And unless they're really kind of changing their security paradigm and model to adapt to that, they're going to fall prey to some of these attacks. The old style security models and controls don't really work in this new world with this new technology. I think we can use them and we can refer to them and use them to build the foundation. But part of the problem is we're now using a lot of cryptographic technologies that normal users don't really understand. And when they're saying, I own Bitcoin, but an exchange holds it, and an exchange holds that private key that unlocks those funds, well, you really don't own that coin. And just like this instance, they inflated the price, but they stole user funds ultimately. And they stole funds from the exchange. And that's going to continue to happen until these exchanges take security seriously and really kind of adapt their paradigm and mindset. We can't hear you again, Trez.
How about now?
There we go.
All right. So as I was saying, that was actually a really good synopsis there. I like what you said. Moving forward, we've got the Panthers' Russell Oaklung is now the first NFL player in history to demand to be paid in Bitcoin. I don't think it's such a wise move considering how much Bitcoin price fluctuates, and you're going to be putting this into contract. What might be worth $1 million today could be worth $2 million tomorrow, or it could be worth $500,000. You know, it's a lot of fluctuation with cryptocurrency. So, yeah.
And I'm going to take the alternate approach on this. I'm actually psyched that Russell's doing this just because it's the first one. I think that's what's really newsworthy is he's the first major athlete to highlight this. And you're right, there's a lot of risk behind that. I think it's a risky position, but I think it's also a very honorable position to be the first one to kind of try to step over the line and take that chance. He's a believer in it. And I like that he's doing it. The technology behind it's kind of interesting with Lightning Strike, with how they're taking paychecks and doing that. And to your point, I don't know what's easy or what's the right amount of money for him to be able to take that risk, right? That may be a large amount of money to you, but to another person it could be a small amount of money. It's interesting to me. This is going to drive adoption. This is going to drive discussion, whether it's good or bad. But I'm a fan of Russ doing this.
Cool.
I'm going to agree with that as well. So it's not so like lately it's been a lot of talk about like institutions adopting, and years ago you used to be able to look at pop culture and see like rappers starting to rap about it and stuff like that. But then you bring something that's in everybody's living room. Every single
Your
Monday
audio
night.
is all distorted. All distorted. Can't understand what you're saying. It's bad.
Wait, is that Nathan? Is that Nathan that's all audio distorted?
I can't tell. I can't look at the stream.
Yeah,
otherwise,
he dropped it.
You get
He
this.
just dropped. I'll add it back because my StreamYards, it's weird. It's if
You're
someone
next.
if more people add, they add way down to the bottom, and I don't see them. I will re-add him if he joins that back again.
He mentioned institutions, and I think you're seeing more of that too in this industry. As you're starting to see institutions get interest, and it's still very early in that regard. Where I don't know that we've even seen some of the peaks with some of this stuff, with the price in the markets, but also with the technology. It's crazy to me that when I was a kid growing up, I wanted everybody to use PGP and then GPG. And they couldn't understand private public key pairs, but the second you mention cryptocurrency, they're super interested in it. So that's the part I love about it.
Nathan is apparently in a bar, so he probably has some shitty Wi-Fi. For what I seen on the chat. All right, continue on with your preaching. Oh shit! Wait. Oh, I see. Busted Sec left and rejoined. Hey, Busted.
Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I clicked on the tab and I went into an infinite recursion loop, and it actually killed Chrome. It was wonderful.
It's okay. You still have a real pretty mouth.
I do.
Did you kill 9 Chrome?
All right. So as far as the show notes where we were, I know we were talking about cryptocurrency. I think we were just about to start talking about XRP, if memory serves. So with cryptocurrency related crap, there's this whole thing going on now with the Ripple case versus the SEC. Any of y'all know about this?
I just read they suspended it.
Yeah, a lot of exchanges have stopped trading it altogether. I think even Coinbase said they were going to stop. I actually own some XRP. Not a lot, but still, it's kind of strange when an exchange is all of a sudden like, we're not going to be trading this anymore. There's a whole big to-do about it, and from what I understand, it has to do with the way the people who developed Ripple were using it. Essentially, like I don't really know all about the whole initial coin offering type stuff, but they're saying essentially it's a security because of the way that they were dealing with it. The SEC sued Ripple and 2 of its executives on December 22nd, alleging that CEO Brad Garlinghouse and co-founder Chris Larson raised more than $1.3 billion via an ongoing unregistered securities sale of XRP. And the SEC views XRP as a security. You know anything about securities, Nathan?
I don't think Nathan's on. I think Nathan had to drop off because he's at a bar with crappy Wi-Fi.
All right. How about you?
Ron might know some shit.
Yeah, thank you. So when you talk about securities, you have to be careful because there's very specific definitions for those. And depending on who's approaching you with lawsuits and subpoenas, they can change that definition to meet certain needs. And with cryptocurrency being so new, it's very hard to define what's a security and what's not. But that's not stopping people from trying. And I think you're going to see this happen to other coins. When you talk about a security, you're talking about a fungible financial token that or instrument that holds a type of monetary value. So if you're selling a token with monetary value and you're doing these initial coin offerings and opening them up, and you're US based or you're selling to US customers and have not registered with the Security Exchange Commission, they're not going to like that and come after you. And it may not be immediately, it may be a few years later, but if the government or the SEC deems you a security, they're going to come after you, and they're going to come after you hard. And they're doing that with a lot of these crypto tokens right now because it takes some of the oomph and the emphasis out of it. And it's the government getting involved with this stuff. They're taking a look at it. XRP is not going to be the last one for this to happen to. There's going to be a lot of other tokens over the next few years that are classified as securities and are going to either be fined, exchanges are going to be fined, or they're going to be shut down as a result of that. And that's all as a result of US OFAC and SEC controls and regulations.
Very good. That is a lot more knowledge than I had on the subject. Very good.
Now, I thought XRP was one that was dollar-based. I mean, I heard people saying they were using it to exchange between different cryptocurrencies, and that's what it was for.
If you're talking dollar-based, what you're talking about are stable coins, which are coins like Tether and USDC, which are pegged to $1. Their value does not go up and down. It always remains at $1, and other things about the token may fluctuate. With XRP, the reason people didn't like that, so there's some crypto people that are really big fanboys with it, and there's other people that are very big critics of it. And the critics of it don't like it because there's billions and billions of units of it. And a lot of times people don't like that. They like to see the 21 million max that Bitcoin has or lower ones. They think if they see bigger pools of tokens that it's scammy. There was an ICO, and then a bunch of tokens went to a Ripple Foundation, this foundation that's next to the Ripple token itself. And when people start looking at that, they don't like that, right? They like coins where the devs are locking their token rewards for 5 years, or there was no pre-mine. It's just day one, it's open to the community. And those types of coins don't necessarily qualify under the security definition, whereas other coins that have done ICOs or pre-mines, they have to be very careful because those founders and those token holders have generated value, and they're not declaring it. And that's what the problem is. And crypto, by definition, you shouldn't have to do that. But if you're in the United States or some of these countries that enforce that, you have to play with those legislations.
Okay.
Shit, man. I don't know. It's something Frank put in.
Yes, it's kind of a joke. It's not going to stick around. I was just being silly.
This is the Frank cast, after all. Frank does most of the work. And we love him for it. You got a real pretty mouth, Frank.
Thank you, Adrian. Next, we got a pretty interesting story, and I think I should probably share my screen for it.
All right, get ready to throw it up on screen.
All right.
You throw it up there, and
all right. Can y'all see my screen? Oh, wow.
Now we can.
All right.
We
Infinite recursion again. All right. This is the man who gave it all up for Litecoin. So, in brief, John Kim went all in on cryptocurrency in 2018. Then the markets took a tumble, and 2 years later, he's homeless. In 2021, he says those who called him foolhardy are going to be proved wrong. So back in 2018, John Kim sold his house, gave all the proceeds to his wife, and earlier in the year sold his profitable business and put all his life savings into cryptocurrencies. Then he got in his van, which happened to have a giant Litecoin logo on it, and drove off on a one-man campaign to raise awareness and adoption of his favorite cryptocurrency among the masses.
Okay, this dude,
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Yeah, if some dude in a van who hadn't showered in a month came up to me and tried to talk to me about Litecoin, I probably would not invest in Litecoin. It would like have the opposite effect on me. In the past 2 years, he's given away thousands of dollars in Litecoin and persuaded restaurants and bars throughout the U.S. to accept it as a fast means of payment. They call me a Litecoin evangelist, but I'm really just a simple man with a simple plan. I believe the best way to get people into crypto is to show them an example and let them experience it themselves, Kim told Decrypt on a recent call from Texas, where he is weathering the coronavirus storm. So he's still homeless. He's been criticized for being foolhardy and reckless, and admits that cryptocurrencies played a big part in the breakup of his marriage. But he still has no regrets, he told us, and he says his story is going to have a happy ending. He's now 43. He grew up in Texas. He left high school without a diploma and then worked a series of low-paying jobs until he could start his own business with 10 grand he borrowed from his father, just like other prominent figures borrowing money from their father to start their business. By 2018, he had a chain of 9 cell phone stores and was the number 2 dealer in Oklahoma. Together with his wife, they began to invest heavily in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Well, the wind comes whipping down the plains. Well, how does that song go?
I'm unsure. I don't know that song.
As a straight dude, I know
Hey, Google.
more show tunes than you'd expect. Anyway, continue.
They became increasingly drawn into the cryptocurrency world. Much of it to the consternation. I think that means that's one of those words that I don't know the meaning of. So I'm going to Google it. Time out. Consternations, feeling of anxiety or dismay. Yes. Of his family and friends. Litecoin, in particular, attracted his attention. The cryptocurrency is the 5th largest in the market cap and was designed to be a quicker processing transaction than Bitcoin. Its creator, Charlie Lee, MIT graduate, and ex-Googler, come on in, friends. Just sit in the background. Anyway, so the two struck up a correspondence on crypto Twitter, and Kim offered to defend Lee from critics. Angry. Just be quiet for a second. Let me finish this. Anyway, that's his story. He's got a whole story. I'm not going to read his whole story. It goes on too long. Anyway, don't give up everything you own and buy a van and go stout the virtues of cryptocurrency is probably the meaning. And maybe, who knows, maybe all of a sudden Litecoin will take off and like become 10 times as more valuable, and the dude will have lots of money, but he still already lost his wife over it. So yeah, not the best.
He went and bought a van, lived by the river.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
Lives
guys,
in a
I'm going to
van
go back
down
in the other
below.
room, and you guys just shoot the shit for like 2 or 3 minutes.
Does the van offer free candy?
I think it does. Wow. Okay.
Wait. Oh, he left. Oh shit. All right.
Yeah, he said wait for a few minutes, for like 2 or 3 minutes. He'll be back. So
Well, make some comments. Personally, the van life seems like a pretty cool life, all things considered. Drive around, go to various places in the world. Shit. You know what though? I do this as a videographer for conferences. That's the main thing I'm known for. Certain cities I don't want to drive in. I don't want to drive around DC much. I definitely don't want to drive around Chicago. Chicago's fucking scary.
I mean,
bad.
it's all doable if you don't mind living a lifestyle that has you constantly on the move, that you don't put down roots anywhere. You know, you basically kind of live like a hobo a little bit. Which, I mean, if you can live that nomad lifestyle, you know, more power to you. But that's pretty much what that entails.
All right, wait. I think we got him back.
You got him. He's back.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
We're talking about the hobo lifestyle of driving around in a van. I need to get a new vehicle. I'm thinking about
And like
getting a 4-wheel drive Honda. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I want to get a Toyota RAV4 Prime.
I want to get anything. Right now, I have an e-bike.
I still have my Honda Fit from 2007. I drive that fucker around. It's about 2,000. It's like 150,000 miles. But it's apparently got all sorts of mechanical problems that they say they want to fix. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Is everybody still driving around during the pandemic? Like, I'm thinking about getting rid of a car because I only filled the gas tank like 3 times this year.
Wow.
Depends on where you live in the world. In Southern Indiana, you better have a car.
And also what you do too, because I mean, there are people who still drive around for work, like especially if you do deliveries and shit like that. If you work from home, like probably most of us do, then yeah, not so much a big deal.
Well, I mean, I still got to drive around, even though I'm only 2 miles from work now because I moved. But yeah, I mean, I still got to get up and go to work, and I'm not going to walk there.
Yeah. Well,
it's Texas.
Yeah. This is a segue. So the oil industry in Russia, and a company specifically, Gazprom, is getting into the crypto mining business. They are going to be mining cryptocurrency, and the Russian government is one of their largest shareholders. They're also going to be using gas and oil to power the mining rigs, as opposed to the traditional off-the-grid method. They're going to be using ASICs, which are little kind of single-purpose computers that just do one kind of math problem. It's probably a horrible way of describing it, but it works for me. And they're going to essentially run their own little crypto farm, just mining cryptocurrency straight off of gas power. So that is interesting. That's a new way of doing things.
I studied some of it a while back. I mean, some of the cryptocurrencies works with GPUs, and then some of them do require ASICs. I think think Bitcoin uses what SHA-256 algorithms. So the Chinese are big on building ASICs that run that specific algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is interesting because there's a lot of people. There's a guy on Twitter at Denver Bitcoin who's way more knowledgeable about the energy aspect of this, but they're talking about using excess energy that we just burn anyway with gas and fuels and hydrocarbons, and then taking those and fueling miners, which then in turn can generate heat. So you've kind of got a self-sustaining system to some degree. And it's interesting because the energy question was one that was asked a lot in the beginning of this stuff, is like, who's going to pay for all this and how wasteful is it to mine? And that question has been asked, but now you're starting to see ways to offset that, or for people to enhance and take some of this extra energy and put it towards securing some of these chains and these networks.
It's kind of a good thing for Russia too, because energy exports in terms of like coal and gas is really a big part of their economy. So if that gets shorted, that can be really bad for them. So they're trying to find ways to hedge their bets too on that one.
Yeah, I don't know that we've seen it yet, but if you're a small country that wants to establish itself and you can time the market right, and I know some of these people are looking at these things, you can take some of your treasury or your GDP and elevate your status very quickly. And some of these countries and nations are looking at that.
Well, I remember, I mean, I don't know if they do this much anymore. You could actually invest in a pool of crypto miners. In other words, you'd be, pay them so much a month, and if you get lucky, they would score a few coins, and you split it between everybody in that particular pool. But I think some of that stuff kind of, when Bitcoin went down, it kind of killed a lot of that business because it became too expensive to run the crypto miners.
At a certain point, it does become not profitable to mine. But I think that you're hedging on the future. And with recent price action and the hash power rate is what you're talking about, is the total combined power of all the miners together. That's going to fluctuate up and down based off of electricity prices and things like flood seasons in different countries where miners are moving their equipment. But those mining pools you're talking about, if you don't have enough hash power to compete with some of the bigger entities on the network that are getting those block rewards that you're talking about, you can still contribute your old GPUs or ASICs to these mining pools. And when they get the block reward, it's split up based off of the percentage that you've contributed. And that's what people are doing to try to, one, secure the network, but two, also profit off of it.
It's been a few years since I looked into it.
Yeah, there's still very much a lot of miners out there. Somebody's echoing.
Shouldn't be me.
I don't think it's me either.
I can thump the microphone. I got the windscreens and all the other fun stuff.
Carry on my redwood sun. There'll be peace when you're all done. Sorry, I'm having weird YouTube flashbacks.
Don't you cry no more. Yeah,
I love the guitar riffs. And there's a lot of good covers to that song too.
Yeah, I like this band on YouTube does a whole shit ton of covers. They're called First to 11, and there's another one called Halocene. They're both female fronted, and they do amazing covers of shit. I listen to them all the time.
Yeah, I've been listening to covers of recently of what is it? What is the song? It's I will always love you. I can't do it.
Houston,
I can't sing.
Song from The Bodyguard.
Whitney,
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston did a great job of it. I'm not knocking her, but it was Dolly Parton's originally.
Well, you want to know some trivia about that song? I think Dolly wrote it, and she was gonna she wanted Elvis to sing it, But the problem is that Elvis said, his manager said he has to own half the rights of the song, and she said, forget that.
I didn't know anything about that. I did find a couple of good male versions of "I Will Always Love You" on YouTube. I can't sing. I'm sorry, folks.
Well, he's Frank the Cat, huh?
That's one of my limitations. Is I can't sing as well. But I've heard some very good male versions of "I Will Always Love You." But
Guy Leo on YouTube.
can't do it.
Leo something or other. He does really good metal covers and stuff.
Wait,
Prog Leaf
metal
Studios.
cover. I want to hear a metal cover of "I Will Always Love You." That would be awesome.
I'll
I will always love you. That'd be awesome.
Well, speaking of, I did see Kansas in concert live. Like they came to Houston, so I got to.
The only thing I know about Kansas is like "Dust in the Wind." Isn't that one of the songs?
You were singing one of the songs.
Wayward Son is also one of their songs.
Wait, I thought Wayward Sons was someone else.
No, you're thinking of Fortunate Son, which is Cleveland's Clearwater Revival.
I like them too. Shit, I need to go look this shit up. All right,
Guar did a pretty good metal cover of Wayward Son.
Continue the cast of my dumbass absent. I need to
All right. Next, we got Voyager cryptocurrency. They suffered a cyber attack targeting their DNS configuration. Cryptocurrency broker allows investors to trade assets using the Voyager mobile app, and it has rapidly grown this year with a 40% growth in the past 12 months. And they have over 200 million in assets under management. Yesterday, the Voyager trading platform was suddenly shut down with an announcement that they are undergoing emergency maintenance. Later, they were able to disclose that they were under attack, and this attack was conducted against the platform that caused them to temporarily halt all trading and cancel all limit orders. Customer funds and securities are, of course, of the utmost importance to us here at Voyager. While all funds in crypto are secure, we have had to temporarily halt trading on the platform and sincerely apologize for the inconvenience and thank all our clients for their patience. They didn't disclose exactly what happened other than it was a DNS threat. I'm starting to wonder if they forgot to lock down their DNS entries and somebody tried to do a zone transfer on them. Which
It's always DNS.
It is always DNS. I have a T-shirt that says it's always DNS. It's my favorite, one of my favorites in the closet. But it's true. Like you look at everything and you're like, it can't be DNS, and then it turns out to be DNS. Fucking DNS. Anyway, long story short, they're not giving us a lot of information about what really happened, but all we know is it's DNS related, and they got hit, and they had to shut down operations temporarily. So, what do you think?
They had to shut down trading, it says, which to me, I don't know what kind of DNS attack if they didn't have DNSSEC on, or like you said, tried the zone transfer the records. But that's interesting. They halted trading and said no customer funds are at risk. I wonder where they were getting their price feeds from for their trading engines. If that was being attacked or spoofed, that would be interesting.
Right, and now DNS spoofing attacks are a thing again after a long time of them not being as popular. That sad DNS attack that came out a few weeks ago that kind of makes it possible to poison DNS again. So that could be a thing. And those are our 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cryptocurrency related articles that we've got this week. Of course, we have other articles that are infosec-y and not related to cryptocurrency. Where do you guys want to go next? You guys want to go to 0 days and TTPs?
Hang on, River. And John, if you want to hang on, sorry, Ron. Shit. Smack the shit out of me at a conference if you ever see me.
I have your permission. It's okay. I won't. I don't even need your permission. I'll just do it anyway. Last time I saw you at a conference,
I'll fight your back though, bitch.
Adrian, last time I saw you at a conference, you're like, Frank, and all you did was hand me a bunch of drink tokens, and I was not complaining.
Yeah, well, I'm known for being inebriated. But yeah, Ron, feel free to hang out for everything else that's going on. Someone brought up in the chat the Nashville bombing. What the hell was going on with the Nashville bombing? Does anybody know?
So all right, so Christmas morning, was it right? Frank's gonna try and remember what the hell happened. So in was it where the fuck was it? I forgot where it was.
It was.
Oh, man.
It was in Nashville, motherfucker.
Nashville? I don't know.
Outside of AT&T building.
It was outside an AT&T building. Somebody had a freaking RV and they packed it with explosives and they blew themselves up. And then nobody knew what the fuck was going on. And like, did somebody do it remotely? Were they in there? And then they found the human remains later, and they're like, "Yeah, the guy blew himself up." And
I heard some reports on it, but was it
a year ago, his girlfriend
was it just a guy who was depressed who committed suicide?
They don't know yet. And what they do know is his ex-girlfriend a year ago told the cops that he was building bombs in his RV, and the cops went and they did a safety check, and they determined everything was fine. And a year later, he blew himself up. So we got that. But other than that, we don't have any of his photos.
Yeah, I heard something about he told his ex-girlfriend that he had a cancer diagnosis, and I got the impression that it was a suicide, and he may or may not have had weird ideas about 5G.
Oh, he wasn't one of those 5G people, was he? Oh,
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know. It's one of those weird fucking. I don't know.
I'm a radio guy. You don't have to worry about 5G.
So yeah, we're gonna go to the intersection of government and infosec, and this section starts out with some copy pasta gone very wrong. So in a Brexit deal, they're mentioning Netscape browser and Mozilla Mail.
That's some old school shit.
Yeah, man. Decades old computer tech are mentioned in this Brexit bill because essentially the lawmakers were taking pieces of old bills and copying and pasting them together to create new ones. And in those old bills were references to very outdated technology.
As bad as all politicians are in the U.S., I somehow get the impression that UK politicians are even fucking worse than ours.
Sometimes worse, sometimes less.
Yeah. So, look, they're blaming the fact that they offload a lot of this bill writing to interns, which doesn't make me any fucking like, oh, that's fine, because now you got like your bill that's going to be written into law being written by a fucking student somewhere who's getting paid $8 an hour. It's like, is that how we want things to become law? I mean, just get.
Well, that's Britain though. Well, I guess they do stupid stuff in the United States too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I see some. I listen to some political commentators from Great Britain, and I get the impression Great Britain is even more fucked up than we are.
Well,
Yeah.
I listen to Nigel Farage and Maya Tusi, so you know, it seems like their stuff is a bit more calm. I mean, there's not as much vitriol going on, and you have some, crazy radical protests, but it's nothing like what's been going on here.
And they got Doctor Who. I mean, you can't go wrong with Doctor Who.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I gotta preface this by saying, look, Britain's national pastime is tattletaling. I mean, come on, you expect that? Yeah, they don't protest because guess what? They'll just go fucking snitch off the side. That's exactly what they'll do.
I didn't know that.
Now that we've pissed off any British viewers we may have.
Hey, Brits, how you doing?
Let's move on to Mitch
You lying motherfuckers.
Let's move on to Mitch McConnell fucking us out of $2,000. So,
wait, Mr. McConnell, or like, I've noticed on Facebook, who people blame depends on what political persuasion they are.
Right. Well, I am of the transhumanist political party, so you can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm not a big Mitch MCConnell fan. I'm just
I don't
saying,
like
I
Mitch
don't know. People tell me all sorts of shit.
So
I don't know who to blame.
this article from Newsweek, right, is going to explain how after they initially snubbed the offer to raise it to $2,000, the stimulus payment, right? Mitch MCConnell then came up with his own plan, where yes, it will be two grand in direct payments, but also in this very same bill, going to be repealing Section 230 from the 1996 Communications Decency Act. So, Communications Act, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, the provision that protects social media companies from the posts written by their users. So, if you take that out, every single post written by everybody on Facebook and Twitter is directly. Essentially, Twitter is now responsible for every post, and Facebook is responsible for every post made by one of their users.
Yeah, the repeal of 230 is shit. Does maybe Tulsi
They know it's shit. That's why they stuck it on a bill, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you guys that $2,000, but we're going to repeal 230 in the process." It has nothing to do.
It's a mixed bag, man.
Like I said last week, this is a common thing to do. This is a thing they've been doing since the last 60 years. Is they'll tack multiple things into one bill because no way in hell will any one thing pass on its own because they have to play fuck games to appease their constituents.
Well, it's also you got a lame duck Congress, and it just after an election, so they put the pork in the bills, right after Christmas or between. Before a new Congress takes seat. So
do we know if the UFOs made it into the new bill?
I'm sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you.
I said the UFOs. So I posted a link in Trump's bill that he signed. There was some requirement to file a report in 180 days about unidentified flying objects. And I didn't know if that made it into McConnell's bill or not. But all the alien community and UFO community is freaking out about that right now, that they included that as a piece of pork as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the 230 issue. Shit. I listen to a lot of YouTube commentators, and
you won't be able to if 230 passes because then YouTube's directly responsible for everything they say.
Is 230 the right term I'm using?
All right, so
if the 230 repeal passes, it's Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So
I see people who are independent commentators on YouTube say this would be bad for us because if they repeal it, it'd be much easier to cancel us.
Yes and no. That it'd be easier to cancel, but at the same time, too, if YouTube posts something that, or if someone posts something on YouTube, then YouTube is directly responsible. The big issue is that the terms publisher and provider are not clearly defined in Section 230, and that's where the problems of YouTube and Facebook and all other big media are doing more and more pruning and selecting of what viewpoints they want to have, which puts them into the publisher perspective versus the provider perspective. And getting that legally defined is not there currently. That's what needs to be done.
Yeah, I'd like to see something put in place to keep YouTube or more specifically Twitter from keeping the New York Post article about Hunter Biden from being posted. But I don't know if we'll repeal 230. No, how do I put this? I want things to be amended, changed, but I don't know if a repeal is correct.
Well,
I think it's too damaging because you're going to start being selective about who gets on what platform. And to me, like, the internet should have always been a free speech society as much as it can. And if you don't like that person or that website, like, don't follow their Twitter, don't go to their website, don't give them the hits.
Exactly. Speak with your attention. It's
well, I think
speak with your wallet.
Exactly, that too.
The big problem, they needed to tweak it because, yeah, the publisher versus platform thing, and the big tech companies were censoring and filtering deliberately to, I mean, they were just blatant about it, and it got to a point, where you know, they were throwing people off for, making innocent posts, meaning it may have been kind of weird and sensational, but they're just throwing people off. And that makes them a publisher. And I think that, the only way to solve it is to force the big techs and to make them public utilities.
There's a lot to unwrap. If I retweet you and that tweet gets flagged, am I in trouble now because I broadcast it?
Oh, that's happened to people. People have gotten in trouble for retweeting people. They've had their accounts canceled for it on Twitter for retweeting somebody who said something controversial.
I think you're a user of that site, that service, and like, yeah, ultimately they get to decide the rules of their platform, and I think you have to conform to them. I think repealing 230 makes that way harder for a lot of people to get their voice out there if that's their intention.
Yeah,
exactly. It's silencing a lot of people.
It's a complicated issue.
Well, they're not going to. They have. Big tech has to make a choice. All right, they're going to have to decide that they want customers. I mean, basically, each user of Twitter or YouTube is both a customer and a provider, a client. I mean, you're both selling. Your content is being used by big tech to sell advertising and do data analytics. So they have to decide what they want to do.
Yeah. Speaking of, I don't know, overreach, maybe. We have this next article, which is from Wired. It's called "How Your Digital Trail Winds Up in the Police's Hands." Everything from your phone calls, web searches, location, even your smart speaker outputs become crucial tools for law enforcement, often while users are unaware their data is being accessed. So the article starts off talking about how alleged rapist R. Kelly used explosives to destroy a witness's car, allegedly. And then police arrested him, and evidence cited in an affidavit was drawn largely from his smartphone and online behavior, a text message to the victim, his cell phone records, and his search history. And more frequently, investigators are using something called a keyword warrant, where they ask companies for information on any user who's maybe searched for a specific person's address. In this case, it was whoever searched for the address of the victim around the time of the arson. And then they were able to use that keyword search to identify Williams, and then they then got warrants for his 2 Google accounts and found searches for detonation properties, diesel fuel, a list of countries that do not have extradition agreements with the U.S., and other fun stuff. So data collected for one purpose can often be used for another. Search history, for example, can be used to refine algorithms or build online profiles, and is usually not used to catch criminals. However, smart devices like speakers, TVs, wearables, all these things are now being used by the police to gather evidence on suspected criminals, even exonerating criminals sometimes in murder cases, which is also interesting. In November, Vice, I hate Vice, found that users of the popular Muslim Pro app had their databases, their data sold to government agencies, including their location data, as well as their exercise habits and a bunch of other fun stuff that the government doesn't have any need for, but they wanted it. So we also have Apple requiring developers to disclose key details about privacy policies in a nutritional label app for users. This consent being like when they click agree after downloading an app, but policies are often incomprehensible for people and they don't understand what they're agreeing to. So when you click I agree after you download an app and you go past its privacy policy, oftentimes you don't realize that you are also agreeing for them to be able to share your data that they collect with anybody who they please. Even Amazon has stopped sales of their facial recognition technology now because the police have been using it when they were not intending it to sell to police departments. Google too. Yep. Article goes on. Article is long. Talks about how civil rights organizations have called on Google to disclose how often it fulfills these geofence warrants that are out there. So a while back, there was a crime committed in a neighborhood, and somebody happened to be driving by on his bicycle a couple blocks away from where the crime was committed. They did a geofence warrant. They found him. They brought him in. He happened to be one of those crazy people who are like, I'm a sovereign citizen, and I'm not talking to the police. And that just made them more convinced he was the one behind whatever happened. And it turned out he wasn't. But it was a big shit show. And because of that, the whole geofence thing has kind of become popularized with people who didn't know about it before, and it's a big deal. I mean, if you're in your house minding your own fucking business and you have your smartphone on you, and somebody next door has something happen to them, and they do a geofence warrant, and like you're the only phone in the area, you get a knock on your door from the police. You're like, "What were you doing that night?" It's like, "What the fuck, man?" It's scary, It's an invasion of privacy. But then again, if you give your privacy rights away to these companies by agreeing to their terms of service, it's like, what the fuck? Anyway.
Well, the terms of service are they can sell your information.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it's not even them you need to worry about. It's resellers and marketers and all the people that are buying that info. And like we just saw this with a popular hardware wallet where their database got hacked and people's phone numbers and addresses and all of their personal information that said, I'm a crypto user and I have a hardware wallet was leaked out there. And I actually just did an extensive blog post detailing some steps. And even in like these situations, these are steps you should be taking now before your data gets compromised or before the police are knocking on your door, Minority Report style, tying you to some crime that you don't even know happened. You should be using, like, it's very much the cypherpunk, Orwellian stance on this. You have to take some steps to protect your identity. And a lot of times clicking that terms of service or that I agree button, do you really understand what you're agreeing to? And do you know if you actually need to provide them the information? Like, could you use a fake name? Can you use a PO box? Can you use your Google Voice number? Are you using disposable one-time credit card numbers to buy things instead of using your everyday stuff so that inevitably when one of these sites or resellers or services gets hacked, you don't have the people knocking on your door?
A lot of the places also won't take those privacy.com cards anymore. They're one-time use disposable credit cards. They say we don't take these kind of cards, and they won't process your transaction.
Yeah, it's very tough. It's situational dependent, and that's where things you can get creative. Like, can you register an LLC under a parent LLC company? In some states, that's super cheap, and you can buy things out of a business account, justifying it as a legal business expense. But there is ways you can do those things.
I think in Wyoming you can register an LLC with a registered agent, and you don't have to use your name.
Yeah, Wyoming is. Well, there was a talk at B-Sides DFW back last year. Talked about that. 2019. That's not this year. Basically, if you go to Wyoming, you can create an LLC that links you very far from who you are. The problem is, again, government stuff still is going to want your actual identity, so it's only going to give you protection from from private entities, not from public ones. So,
I was at that one too. I was in the audience.
Yeah, I think if the government wants to find you, they're going to find you regardless.
Well, then you probably saw me
Yeah,
because I talked during
that's
that
true.
one.
Yep, I saw it. The thing is, I mean, you have to. I think what you have to your driver's license, your voter registration, and your car insurance has to be your actual address, unless you own more than one home, and where your car is parked and all that stuff. So if you have a second home, you can say that's your address. You don't necessarily have to live there.
Well, yeah.
There's
Say, for
also
example,
stuff.
like a 4473, you fill that out. You actually have to list the address that you live at. It has to match what's on your license. So, if you have, say, a forwarding address on your license, it's not going to match. You can't use it. You have to update that or not do that. So there's going to be gaps in there at some point.
Well, yeah, but what I'm talking about is if you own the place and it's your address. I mean, even if you're not living there, you can say this is my address. I mean, that's what What do you think celebrities do? They own places and they don't live there.
You can also own places, I believe, under an LLC, but you have to pay for it up front. You can't have a mortgage under that. One of the guys I work with, Jameson Lopp, wrote an extensive article about this, about trying to disappear and all the different things he dealt with the DMV and the government and all the different entities that collect that information. So I think there is ways to do it. And the voter registration one's interesting because you can find a lot of people that way. And there are some outlets for people under special conditions. Like if you're an abused person, there's forwarding addresses and things you can list there. So stalkers and domestic abusers can't find you, but it's very, very specific situation.
So yeah, if you get death threats, you can change your voter registration address to wherever the post office is or the precinct, main precinct is.
Yeah, you can do general delivery and give your all you have to do is give your city, state, and I think your zip code, and it'll get held at the post office. You just have to show a photo ID to come pick it up. That's been in the practice for the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also mail forwarding services that are out there that you can subscribe to if you want to pay money. That'll like scan your mail and open it and forward it based off of different rules. Remailing services, those exist too if you don't want to give your personal home address.
Yeah.
But how about now we just go back to Dolly Parton covers? And I will always love you. Come on, someone can do it better than I can.
All right, that was really bad. You know what? We got to take you out to go do some karaoke at the next con.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make you sing that.
My karaoke is generally David Allen Coe, which gets me in trouble.
Yeah, after SummerCon, I would go out to karaoke with like Aloria and a bunch of the people who put on the con.
Oh, Lord.
And she actually well, she actually got one hell of a set of pipes.
She hates me.
A really good singer. Why did she hate
you?
Yeah,
but she hates. I don't know exactly why. I pissed off the wrong woman, and she hates me.
She's kind of SJW-y.
Yeah, I think she's pretty cool. But anyway.
All right, continue on with the show notes.
All right. So next we have Emotet. Malware is hitting Lithuania's National Public Health Center. Lithuania, being one of those countries that's far away, was hit by Emotet recently, and I am stalling until I can pull up the article. All right. So the infected recipient opened an email message like an idiot, and the virus entered the network. Infected computers, after downloading additional files, began sending out fake emails and engaging in other types of malicious activity. So this was a phishing attack, and not all that complicated. And apparently, once they got in, they just used their access to spam more Emotet stuff. Still, it is a government organization, and it was hit by Emotet, so that's probably not so good. I don't know exactly what the Lithuanian organization here does, the National Center for Public Health. I imagine they're like a public health agency, but it doesn't really say in the article what they do. Anyway, they have been working with a local cybersecurity organization, and they got their email access back. And of course, Emotet has been targeting multiple U.S. state and local governments as well. So Emotet is just going everywhere. And another place, foreign country, was hit. Their Finnish parliament itself was hacked. Attackers gained access to lawmakers' email accounts because lawmakers apparently like clicking phishing emails. So they managed to get access to a bunch of lawmakers' accounts, and they tried to use that access to pivot into some other internal systems. Doesn't look like it was all that successful. And they're blaming App 28, which is Russia. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. That is the intersection between government and InfoSec section in our cast tonight. Next, we've got.
I mean, to be fair, if they're targeting Finland, Russia is a safe bet. That's a very safe bet because they've always had problems with each other. Most of the Eastern European states, like I know, Russia caused, I think it was Estonia. They knocked like part of the power grid offline, and also Georgia and other places like that. So it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia were part of the Soviet Union. They basically grabbed them. And Estonia, I believe, is Finnish. Latvia is just they had their own cultures. I mean, there's a lot of history on that stuff. But so yeah.
Well, Finland's also kicked Russia's ass a few times too in the past 100 years. During various invasions, they kept a lot of the Russians at bay during the Cold War, during the time of the Soviet Union. So there's a lot of bad blood between those two.
I think Ron dropped off. I invited some more people in via the chat. Let's see what the fuck happens.
You got 2 slots.
All right. Next article we've got is pretty interesting. I like this one a lot. It's horrible, but it's also kind of funny. Well, I shouldn't say it's kind of funny, but it's amusing. Anyway, so we've got asshole script kiddies who've got credentials to a bunch of IoT shit, and a lot of people who've got cameras in their houses. And in the past, we've had people take over the cameras with the microphones and talk with the people and screw with them. Well, now some assholes with this access have decided it would be kind of fun while they're sitting at home really bored during the pandemic to take over the IoT cameras of people and then SWAT them. Yes, they will fucking SWAT people in real time while watching the whole thing unfold on their IoT camera, and then probably just be sitting back eating popcorn and laughing like a bunch of assholes. Now it's evil, it's bad. But the whole like visual picture of this happening is a little amusing.
Can you imagine someone like looking at my webcam?
I wouldn't wish that on my enemy.
I mean, I'm just a big hairy dude sitting there looking at Belle Delphine's latest porn.
I am so pleased that she's finally made the foray into hardcore adult video. Anyway,
it's actually pretty good. It's actually, it's damn. She's stranger than I would have expected.
Well, I tell you, getting back to the swatting, there's dollar. There's actually dollars involved when a SWAT happens. I mean, I think they did a study. Well, I read something. It was a long time ago. Homeland Security, but just a pair of officers to investigate can cost up to $15,000 when it's a actual swatting incident, when they do all the paperwork and everything else. When you have to send in a breach team, that's over $100,000. So it's political activists have used swatting for various reasons, including tying up government resources.
Yeah. Well, swatting is not a good thing. I mean, it should never be done. I think it's pretty much started out with like assholes playing video games together, and they're able to figure out who the other person is, and then just sending a SWAT team to their house. But now, I mean, you just got these kids who were bored during the pandemic, and they're able to, access somebody's camera because they use the same creds everywhere. And the next thing you know, they're sending fucking cops to that person's house. That's scary. It's also just like, dick, don't do that. But
Well, if they get caught, I mean, it's jail time, and if they're minors, the parents will be liable for the damages and everything else. And to bring up the past, if you Mudge, I think you guys know him.
which one?
Uh,
Raphael Mudge or Mudge DARPA Mudge?
I'm trying to Mudge as an individual on Twitter. He's a hacker, and he shows up. He did some stuff.
Because there's two Mudges. There's the Mudge who worked at DARPA and was like a member of that hacking group that was like one of the big ones back in the day. And then there's Raphael Mudge who wrote Cobalt Strike. I don't know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure who. Yeah, I mean, I forget it was Twitter handle like Dot Mudge or something like that. But last December he was swatted.
Really?
Yeah.
Somebody swatted Mudge? That's horrible and kind of funny. I don't know. I'm a horrible person.
I don't know. I have people trying to red flag my ass because I have guns. And
yeah, you gotta kind of tone it down with firearms. If you're drinking, never even ever mention any kind of marijuana use or anything like that with firearms, because that could put you in the NICS database.
I should probably tone shit down. Yes.
I remember a number of years ago, I was talking with this chick in like I met her in the Unix chat room of all places, and we were just talking about stuff, and she was really depressed, and I was trying to cheer her up, and she told me that she had a gun and she was planning on offing herself, and then she just cut the call off. So I was freaking out. So I did some OSINT, and I figured out address and called local authorities, and they went to her house. She was fucking pissed at me. But sometimes you gotta just be a dick and make sure somebody's safe, even if it's kind of an invasion of privacy, because I'd rather them not like me than be dead. So
hey, I never plan to off myself. Don't come to my house. Don't knock down my door. Leave me the fuck alone. I will be good.
Well, look, just don't be doing stupid stuff with firearms. That's and don't even talk about them. If I mean that's
don't set your arms on fire. It's good.
But I have so many. They're so cute.
I mean, now, so you see, if or when Biden becomes president, he could sign an executive order saying every FFL is no longer allowed to sell any of the so-called AR-15 or AK or anything like that. He could just sign an executive order and do that. And
they can also ban ghost guns pretty easily.
Yeah.
It
does 80% lowers. Yeah.
I hate to say this, but yeah, he will be president probably. And I'm not saying Trump was a great guy, but I think we're fucked.
Anyway, we were fucked already. It's fine. Let's get out of the politics rut and the gun stuff and get back into where. So,
sweet man.
Using COVID-19 lures because they suck, still happening, and also even manufacturers of COVID-19 vaccines are being targeted, even though they're not necessarily being penetrated by multiple ransomware groups who are trying to infiltrate them and fuck with them.
I will penetrate. I will penetrate so hard. Sorry, continue.
I don't know if I can. Anyway, the World Health Organization was also targeted by the Dark Hotel Apps group, looking to steal network information. We've got like tons of email phishing attempts aimed at companies working on the COVID vaccine stuff. We've got App 29 using custom malware called Melwis for data exfiltration and trying to attack companies that do business with companies that have ties to the vaccine. It's a scummy move. I mean, I get it. COVID-19 lures in email campaigns are very effective. Idiots will click on them. They're so effective that Alien Vault even has like a thing where now they have they'll show you if somebody has clicked on a link, and in the link, the URL itself, it says COVID, because a lot of the time those email phishing campaigns are sending people to sketchy places, and they use COVID-19 lures. But this is going to continue into 2021, according to this report, and it's not good. It's look, I get you want to make your money. You're a ransomware group. Don't target people making fucking vaccines. They're trying to save humanity and like make sure we don't all fucking die from a pandemic. Don't target those people. Go target like lawmakers. That's fine. You know.
They're gonna target anybody they can steal money from. That's just there's no don't expect any kind of ethics.
I mean, they go after fucking hospitals too. That's super shit.
Well, they go anything that's in the public sector, they're going to go after, and of course, vaccine manufacturers. Well, if you get I mean, how to make a certain vaccine, that can be worth billions of dollars, and of course, if a bad actor, okay, a rogue state actor gets the vaccine, they can produce it for free or dump it, steal it, and kill the profits from it. So there's all sorts of things they can do. That's why they're going after this stuff.
Yeah, it's still scummy. All right, next week we had an article about how ransomware is headed down a dire path. We're not going to read that. Then we go. Threat actor is selling a data dump, including 2.5 million customers of service provider Ho Mobile. Ho Mobile being a cell phone provider somewhere, not here. Also, T-Mobile data breach exposed phone numbers and call records of the people involved. That's another article that we're not going to read because the title is just enough. Kawasaki was hit with a security breach recently. They had ransomware on their network. They are working on getting rid of it. Also, Whirlpool, the people who make the appliances that always break down, were hit with a Nephilim ransomware attack on their corporate network, and they are in the process of cleaning it up. We have Spotify and big commerce stores falling victim to card skimmer attacks, similar to the Mage card attacks that we have seen in the past. This is just the same kind of crap, but adapted towards different platforms, because the Mage card attacks target Magento CMS, and there are other CMSs out there that are for payment processing, and these are skimmer attacks targeting those. So that's a thing too. A lot of idiots are clicking on these emails that are saying they got an Amazon gift card from somebody for the holidays and getting the Drydex malware in return for their clicks. Yeah, that could be hard to spot for your average user if they're not looking at, like the headers or something on their email. So I can see why that would spread pretty well. I'm just going to zoom through the rest of this crap because I want to go hang out with my friends. We did the cryptocurrency stuff already. 0 days in TTPs. There was a Windows 0 day. It was circulating around. They patched it as a shitty patch, and now people are using it again. The Citrix ADC vulnerability that Dave Kennedy wrote an exploit for is still in the wild, but now it's also being used for DDoS amplification attacks, where essentially they use their access to the Citrix ADC systems to exponentially increase the amount of bandwidth they're able to throw at somebody else when they're conducting a DDoS, and they are working on a patch for that. Malware that calculates the Cobalt Strike payload is able to now use a link on Imgur to do its calculations. Imgur, essentially the site that was developed for Reddit for people who wanted to upload pictures before Reddit supported image uploads. It's a popular site. Nobody's going to be blocking it. So if you want to be able to calculate the hash for your C2 malleable profile, you can now use a picture on Imgur that you upload that will generate that. And that's kind of cool. You might want to read that. It's on Bleeping Computer. You might also want to look at that if you're interested in Cobalt Strike, if you're interested in generating malleable C2 profiles, or if you're just in all interested in like callbacks, C2 callbacks. I don't know.
If you're interested in going hang out with friends, go hang out with your friends, man. I'll in the cast here, and
It's been going on for an hour and a half, so I think you've covered everything.
All right. We have the non-infosec stuff at the bottom.
You know, I love the purely hetero way, right?
You keep saying that. It makes me think it's not a purely hetero way.
Mostly hetero.
I'll accept that answer.
It's alcohol related.
It's.
I just know if I ever turn gay, all I got to do is get Adrian drunk, and he loves me in a most sweet hetero way.
Yeah, I'd probably do you. But
so anyway, guys, great cast. Thank you so much to our guest for coming here and giving us all your wonderful cryptocurrency knowledge that I don't have. And yeah, man, thank everybody.
And I'm looking out for you, man.
All right. Well, the next week is another week in the new year, by the way.
Yep. Happy New Year. Stay out of trouble. Don't put anything in your ass that shouldn't go there.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
Oh, you don't know what will go or where.
So next cast will be the 6th, which is I may be at church service. That is Eastern Orthodox Christmas Eve.
Eastern Orthodox Christmas Eve, that's a thing?
Old calendar, Julian calendar Christmas Eve, because Christmas Day is the 7th.
Remind me and I'll name it a Pope at least.
We don't have popes, we have patriarchs.
Our
patriarch passed away from COVID.
Email me and tell me the appropriate name.
Of what?
Of whatever you want it to be called.
Patriarch is the.
I don't yet. Yeah, I don't follow that religion. So you tell me the appropriate name.
Patriarch is the head of Orthodox churches are they all are kind of in communion with each other. So they have a lot of patriarchs.
You tell me
their bishops.
Appropriate name and a Twitter. Because I'm all about patriarchy, but
a patriarch is
you have to tell me the appropriate name.
I have to. The appropriate name is InfoSec Patriarchy.
Yeah,
Mary is in charge of that.
All right, there we go.
I determined that the patriarchy needs a woman's touch, so I put Mary in charge of the InfoSec Patriarchy.
Matriarchy, you mean?
No, it's a patriarchy. It's just female led.
Oh, it's a patriarchy, yes, but yes.
I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go. Bye.
All right, take care. I guess time to go. So you guys.
Bye, folks. I love you all.
Right.
In a purely hetero way.
Well, that's fine. So next week, sober, hopefully.
Probably not, but we'll see what happens.
You're not on vacation, so next week you go back to work.
We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going back to work. I got servers waiting on me.